Hello student, welcome back and today we are going to discuss about paper 62 May June 2019. Let us read the question. Student investigate the effect of enzyme pectinase. What is that? I also even don't know. But pectinase actually break down the cell wall. Okay, it's something to break down the cell wall. And so they put it at overnight. Okay, they just put it at overnight. Probably they want to, you need to think like, imagine probably they want to study the absorption of the apple. Is this apple? Absorption of the apple, because if since you break down the cell wall, the thing will go bigger. If the thing will be bigger because the thing can absorb more water. So probably you want to scoop it up and measure the mass of the apple with pectinase, and you scoop it up, measure the solution without pectinase, and probably the one that with pectinase will got more water because the cell wall already broken down. Explain the purpose of using water. Why you want to use water as a control variable? So there's as a control variable. Of course, I think the student understand as a control variable. But I think the student understand to observe the difference, but or to make it more fair. But because it's science, we want to answer in terms of the science term. So as a control variable. Oh, so the people ask, what is your control variable? My control variable is blah 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 blah. State 2 variable. So we are talking about what variable? What are the variable that you want to manipulate? State variable that control. Oh, this is a control one. Sorry. So you want to control the same amount of solution, and then you want to control the same amount of apple sizes, pH volume, temperature. So there are a lot of variables that depend on how big your experiment. Now, of course, this is IGCSE only, but when you go to university, your lecturer will ask you a lot of questions. You need to design your experiment, and they will keep on asking until, but you must answer lah. You don't answer properly, then you don't get mark lah. Even you go to a PhD, then they will feel doctor judge your experiment and so on. Of course, if you find a good lecturer, they will guide you. B, after leaving overnight, the juice is separated from the apple, and the volume is measured. So it depends on how you want to measure. Draw and label the apparatus could use to separate the chopped apple from beaker A. So very good. So the student draw it. This one I forget to mark actually. So if you draw the funnel, you get 1 mark. The juice, you get 1 mark, and then you need to at least 2 label. So very good. Okay. So you got 3 marks for this question. Blah 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 blah. This is the reading. Don't overlook. Sometimes students just overlook the question. Don't overlook the question. And the keyword is this one, 0.5. Sometimes students do wrong because 24. No 0.0. You get this wrong. So this student is very good because he put 24.0. Okay, because the question they say either you want to put 0.0 or 0.5. And this is also very good. He said 18.5, but it's only 1 mark. But still good. But if you don't put this 0.0, you straight away get 0 mark. Plant loses water from its leaf through transpiration, and a plant use air will lose water. Correct or not? So a plant will lose more water in a dry air. If I put a plant in Malaysia and a plant in Africa, obviously the plant in Africa will dry faster due to the higher rate of transpiration because the air is drier at Africa compared to Malaysia. But we know that both of these countries weather is hot, but Malaysia is more humid and Africa is less humid. Plan an investigation to test whether the statement is correct. So you want to do experiment. What you can do, probably I will take, I'm imagining in my mind, I will take one plant. Maybe I need to put a thing to absorb the water, cobalt chloride in the thing to absorb water, put in a box, and another plant in the box where I put water beside it, so that the plant got water vapor in the box, something like that. You imagine you imagine the experiment that you want to set up, and then you need to measure the thing, measure the water, how much water that the plant actually absorb. In your answer, include the thing apparatus. Tell the apparatus, tell the methodology, tell the variable, manipulate variable, tell the safety precaution, tell the how you want to. This one also I categorize as the procedure lah. How do you want to the procedure means how you want to do the experiment and measurement How you process the result also how you process the result, so like procedure, and how you will use the result to draw the conclusion, also according to the procedure. So let's see, the student get 2 mark for apparatus, okay, because he say these two things. So probably here you will get 2 mark, 2 mark, 2 mark, 2 mark total here is 7 mark. Total here is 7 mark. Okay, so you need to at least write 7 points, but I will recommend you write 8 points or 9 points, so at least you will get full mark for this one. Cut the leaf in the beaker, place the beaker in the calculator, get 1 mark. Constant variable, you get 1 mark. Precaution, wait just let me check. Yeah, so the marking scheme will be something like this 7 mark. So probably as an examiner, I will like apparatus 2 mark, method I choose 2 mark, control variable 2 mark, and then how your procedure, processing data and measurement will be 2 mark. So this will be the marking scheme. But it's very difficult to mark For example, the students say that which I something that I forget to mark. Wait, I need to put here at somewhere. Maybe I put here up first. The reason is sometimes science is a bit slightly difficult to mark, because here say that precautions, the student did mention, be careful with sharp razor knife. Probably he want to, probably the student say want to use the knife to cut the shoe, and you need to be careful with the knife, or you want to wear the knife, the glove, like that. A lot of precaution that you can take So here I will put 1 more mark Though here is not mentioned the precaution. Well, here if you see the marking scheme, it only mentioned safety linked to apparatus, hygiene and procedure. So it will depend on the examiner to mark your paper. So sometimes it got little bit influenced by the examiner If your examiner is not that strict, then he will give you more not strict If your examiner is very strict, then you might get lower. But there is only like you read so many questions, this is like the only 1 question like that, so it don't really affect, but it still affect little bit So you pray for it So blah blah blah, the sharp razor I give 1 mark. The measurement and record it depends on how the student want to mention. Like many students will use their different word I cannot give wrong. As long the important thing is the marking scheme also got mentioned the guideline As long as the students show that they understand the subject matter and able to answer it in a understandable way, in a correct spelling also, in a correct spelling, correct punctuation, correct sentence, that show that the student able to understand the concept, so you still get 1 mark. So I feel that the student, even though he just do, sometimes I feel it's an essay, but the students still use the punctuation like this, like I still give correct even though it's like this is double dot it's still correct, because it shows that the student understand the question. Measure distance, blah, blah. If the bubble increase, then it means that the thing very good. Even the marking scheme actually say that compare the mass or a graph. So basically the question asks you to draw a graph, but the student draw a table, which for me I think is still acceptable, because this is also a way to measure the data. Okay, so not humid, less humid, but humid, and the volume of water. Of course there are a few more things that you can put, like for example initial water, final water, then after you minus, so there will be more column. Up to you this one also can I think it's good enough, because it's just 1 mark. But if you want to show the examiner how good you are, you want to make it longer, but no need So the student total will get 7 mark. 7 mark The student show a good understanding of this subject. Use your own word, okay? Use your own word. Number 3, a student investigate the amount of precipitate formed from barium nitrate solution and sodium sulfate. Barium nitrate and sodium chloride are colorless. They react together to form white precipitate. So they label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They want to investigate the amount of precipitate. So maybe you want to see how much thing that you want to put. So first he added 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the amount of this is sodium sulfate. Yeah, so barium nitride is a constant. It's mentioned this question. So the barium nitride is constant. You only want to measure, but if you change this two, then there will be no point already. There's the two variable is always changing, and there's no way of properly measuring the data. So you need to put this same first. You put 3 first, and say like you want to make it more accurate. So you put 3 first, then you put 4, then you put 5, then you put 6, then you put 7. So there will be a lot of 7 times 7. It will be 49 test tube that you want to do. For example, if you want to make it more, the data more sophisticated, at least you understand this thing. But enough, this is just a Form 5 experiment. IGCSE year 11. So you want to make it simple and able for students to do, because they are not going to university yet. So they just want to make something that simple, that they can finish in maybe 1-2 days. In 5 minutes, you measure in the height. So there will be 7, 14. The answer here is 10, here is 34, but I still give correct. The reason is because the student print out the paper, and there will be some scaling and printing issue. So the student cannot measure as accurate as the printer print out. Unless you set the setting printer 100% according to the scale, then you get back the thing. Doesn't matter, just a small issue. Okay, now you get so the student where's the question? I'm looking for the question. Figure 3.3 show the height and precipitate. Okay, measure the height and record in table 3.1. Okay, so some students forget to do. Make sure you don't skip this question. Sometimes the student say then they'll continue this, because it's at the bottom, and at the bottom they didn't draw a line. So student thought that okay, next question, and then you didn't do. So very good, the student do it. Make sure that you follow the decimal. Let's say if here got 7.0, you just follow, okay? 14.0, you just follow, okay? 10.0, then follow. So just follow the decimal lah. If you see the graph, there is if 2 decimal, then you follow 2 decimal. Even though it's 0, you just put 0.0, okay? Because that is the marking scheme. And moving on the grid provided the graph, 3 marks. So 1 mark will be given on the labeling and the unit. So the student very good. He labeled the height and the unit. I must write mm. If not, I don't know it's km or how many light years. And then sodium sulfate solution. Make sure you write the unit. So for these 2 highlighted thing, you get 1 mark. And another mark will be the scale. So the scale is big enough. Very good. Okay, don't do small. The scale is big, but your graph is this small. The graph must be at least more than half the size, but try to use 75%, 80%. That will be the proper one lah. Even though I just say more than 50%, but try to use 70, 80%. This one is very good. I think he used 90% of the graph paper. So for the scale, you will get 1 mark, and one more mark is the dotted line. If your dotted line is correct, at least 5 dotted line is correct, you will get another 1 mark. So the student total will get 3 mark. Okay, 3 mark for this one. Okay, the unit, the scale, and the correct dotted line. And usually a graph is 4 mark. 1 more mark is the line. Okay, is the line. So total there is a 4 mark. Usually for a graph. Circle the anomalous result. The student didn't get any mark. The reason is the student didn't circle. So where is the circle? So where is the anomaly result?
3.
3. Yeah, so you need to circle it. Of course you need to circle it and explain whatever lah, due to accident or not enough sodium, whatever lah. Just write what one OTTW means relate to that thing lah. Or this one actually is correct.
My answer is correct.
Yeah, correct, because you are adding the wrong amount. The marking scheme here say that too less amount and many answer lah, many answer. Okay, the answer say is too little of sodium, but doesn't really matter lah. So due to oversight and so on. So due to not circle, so I didn't get any mark. Draw a best fit line, I will still give 1 mark. But I think the best fit line for the student can be improved. Actually, not that accurate lah, the student draw. Because okay, we ignore this one, we ignore the bottom part because the bottom part is the anomaly result. So we just don't care about it. So if I want to draw, it will be something like this. It will go up a bit because there's 3 dotted line here and 1 dotted line at the bottom. So the best fit line will be, best fit means I try to best fit all the line together. Because if you straight away one line here, the examiner can give you wrong because 3 dotted line is up here already. So at least your line must skew upwards to the 3 dotted line. So it make more sense, more best fit line rather than just you no need to touch everything, okay? You just try your best fit about for all the dot, and this will be the anomaly result. The reason is first is too far. Secondly, we also can see at here 7, 14, 28, 33, 36, 36. You can see that the thing is increasing, but it suddenly this one it dropped. So this is an anomaly result. It's a very weird result. Anomaly result, weird result. But you still get 1 mark lah. I think the student still draw a best fit line. Describe relationship between the height. If something increase, then something increase. Okay, if the student somewhat increase, the precipitation increase. Yes, correct. Show on your graph. So you need to show on your graph if 1.5 of sodium sulfide. So the student did very good. He draw a dot 9. So the student show on the graph and show the student write the answer. So you get 1 mark for this one. The volume of sodium sulfide continue to be increased. Predict what happened. So eventually you can see it here 36 there is no increase. So eventually, even though I put more, it will be 36. Okay, there is no point of putting it more of the thing. Why? It will stop increasing. Why? Because there are only 3 sodium and it's able to react. Or the answer scheme actually mentioned that the reactant is used up or sodium sulfide is in excess. The reaction is finished. Up to you lah, but I still think the student is answering well lah, though it's not in the marking scheme, but the student show that he or she understand the question. C, state the 2 improvement that can be made in the experiment. You can repeat the experiment to get a good result. This one you get 1 mark. One more thing is the syringe. Okay, you need to use syringe so that it's more easy to judge. Time control, it's not in the marking scheme lah, that's why I didn't give correct. Okay, next number 4. He used a measuring cylinder to determine the mass of 100 cl of water. So actually when I read this question, I'm thinking like what they want to do. Ice melting on the water, beaker of water. Okay, so it uses he measure the mass of the water. Probably I don't know, you want to investigate the volume, is it? Volume of ice, because eventually ice will shrink if there's cold, but after that, if it cool ice until 0 degree, it will expand. So the coldest volume of water that we can get is 4 Celsius. 0 Celsius, eventually the ice will expand. But the question didn't ask, so I don't know what the question actually the student want to do. I cannot imagine the experiment. But I cannot imagine the experiment is very hard to answer the question because I really cannot imagine what are you going to investigate by ice melting in the beaker of water. Describe how he uses his apparatus to find the mass. Okay, so how you want to find the mass of the water? So what you can do is you need to use because he's using a balance, a balance. So in order to measure the mass of the water, first you need to measure the mass of the cylinder. Okay, first you measure the mass of the cylinder, then after you put water inside, then you use the water to minus the mass of the cylinder. You need to minus it, so the student didn't get any mark. Okay, first you need to measure the mass of the cylinder, then you need to minus it. Okay, of course the first one you'll be say something like put the empty, the keyword is empty cylinder on the balance, record it down. After that you put water into the beaker and minus, subtract the what. Okay, so the student didn't get any mark for this one. The student pour 100 cm of water into a beaker and measure the temperature. So this one is the keyword 0.5 so at least even 0.0 also you must put. Okay, so we can see it here is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14.5. So very good. Oh, this one 2 mark for this question. Wow, it's a bonus mark. It's very good. Usually it's only 1 mark, but 2 mark bonus. He take the ice cube and measure the reading. So okay, you want to put the ice cube and you want to measure the weight. Read and record it into the nearest 0.1, so you get to 21.51. This is mathematics nearest 0.1 mathematics. B, the student carry out the procedure. Why you want to stir it to get even temperature, 1 mark. Explain why is it important to dry the cube so that no extra water is being wet. Yeah, because it's cold, probably there will be condensation, there will be some extra water, so you want to wipe it first. But when you wipe it also, that's why I cannot really imagine what he's trying to do in the experiment. Calculate the drop of temperature. Okay, you calculate the drop of temperature already. Final minus, this one I forget to mark, so it will be 7.5. Okay, just take the temperature and minus the before and after. Okay, so before and after you just minus. Do it according to the formula. This formula is correct? The answer is 2200. So I give wrong because the student is the but because the question say give in a suitable significant figure. I think a lot of students will lost mark at this one because they didn't even mention how many significant number. Is it 3 or 2? But the marking scheme require 2. So I just follow So I think most students will wrong this question. So it's okay Not only you wrong, most students will get wrong this question. Calculate the mass m in the m blah blah. Calculate the mass, this one minus this one, you get 11.56. So on. Okay, last page already. 334 m 1 gram of milk into the water. Calculate the energy. So the energy actually is mc theta, correct or not? That the student really do. MC theta, actually it's MC theta, so you get 2200 joule that you already get. But this one it mentioned what use your answer in the equation to show 334 thermal energy to melt 1 gram. So you do the formula, you get 1 mark. And in the experiment, thermal energy to melt, okay, something to ice to melt, you need a heat energy. So why the heat energy come from the surrounding, 1 mark. So that's it. So thank you very much for this video.